Hello, good morning and welcome. You are logged in to Manufacturing Digital Live, an all virtual event brought to you by Manufacturing Digital Magazine and us here at BizClick. My name's Neil Perry and I'm here to guide you through today all the interviews, the panels, the firesides and all the key talking points today. We're here today in association with Helena. As you can see from the event app and from the website, we've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, presentations and discussions through today. Now do make sure you send through your thoughts and your questions through the event app. They come straight through to me here in the studio, and as ever I get through as many of those as I possibly can. You really do help make the show today. And you also see the full agenda on the app along with all of our speaker biographies. So just to explain a bit of the format for today, there'll be a short Q&A at the end of all of our sessions, as well as brief comfort and networking breaks too. And if you do have to duck out for a meeting or take a call, that's totally understandable. You're all busy people. We'll be able to catch up on all the sessions on demand in the coming days. Just keep an eye on our socials. And so, without further ado, let's get started. Our first keynote session of the morning, and that is the future of manufacturing. Our guest is Helena Jochberger, Vice President, Global Lead Manufacturing at CGI. Welcome, Helena. How are you?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a big pleasure for me to speak at Manufacturing Live today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment or two with the Q&A, but you have the pleasure of opening the show, so the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Neil, and thank you very much for the invite. So, yeah, the future of manufacturing is a very thrilling topic, and this is what is basically describing my job, what I do all year. As global industry lead for manufacturing at CGI, we conduct on a year-to-year basis our so-called Voice of the Client program. So we interview CXOs around the world about macro trends, about business and about IT trends, and we are really keen to see how they cope within their digital transformation effort against those macro trends. And I've brought to you today some of the data, of the deep insights, what they tell us about the future of manufacturing. So first of all, let me paint this picture. Manufacturing is changing, right? So from originally products, we are moving more to services. We are moving more to hyper-personalized customers. The customer all in the center. Design thinking initiatives around what does the customers need? What does the customer want? And of course, they do it for the ultimate goal of growing. The growth in the middle. Then we have another topic, a very interesting topic. In the past, and especially when we look around the shop floor, it was more the specialist at the core. Now we are moving in the age of data. We're having the data at the core. And why is that? We will see in a couple of minutes. For the utmost target of resilience, of course. We are living in very uncertain times, and I've brought you some data around that. And last but not least, the soloist behavior of companies that we had in the past is really moving more towards an ecosystems approach with the ultimate goal to raise the business agility. Now, let me guide you through some not so dry figures because there are real challenges behind. Have a look at the right-hand side of the slide. So what is really keeping our manufacturers up at night? The shift in the economic order has really risen since last year by 30% point. We all see that with geopolitical tensions on the one hand side that are deeply impacting our manufacturers on the supply chains, on the raw materials. The energy price is really going through the roof, especially in Europe. We can see that sometimes 10, 12 times higher energy prices. And when you're in the process industry, process manufacturing industry with really heavy energy consuming activities, then you might say, yeah, that is really something that is pressing on us. Right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you can see that the fight against the climate change is really top of minds for the manufacturers themselves. This percent pointage has risen also 17 by last year. We conduct this survey since 5 years. And sustainability, all things ESG, going through the roof. And not only in in the production, but really across the value chain. That starts with producing green steel, for example, for the automotive, for the aerospace industry. How is the steel produced? Is it produced on basis of green hydrogen? Then how is it transported? The topic of sustainable supply chains, right? Then it's about the production itself. What's the energy consumption in the production? How can we avoid waste? And last but not least, how can we move our industry towards circularity concepts? So this is really in that macro trend, and it is top of minds. And then embedded in the middle, so to say, there is the technology and digital acceleration. You all have seen, and we will touch on that a couple of minutes later, what technology does at the moment, and especially around AI, and how fast things are moving. Changing social demographics, quite stable since last year, some increase, but also the reconfiguration of supply chains. Is local sourcing a topic? Is the consolidation of suppliers a topic? These are really questions manufacturers are asking today. So they're really being felt hard by all of the clients, despite discrete manufacturers or process manufacturers. So we have the energy prices that are increased. I've talked about that. We have the decarbonization and ESG. We also have an increased focus on security. And when we talk about security in manufacturing, we always mean IT, but we need also to regard the operational technology, right? So while moving to an autonomous factory, moving to a smart factory with all the technologies that we have at hand, the production machinery gets really interconnected and is therefore, of course, target of a lot of attacks. And these attacks, unfortunately, have reached another plateau. So it's of utmost importance to really do something about that. And last but not least, technology acceleration. So all the forms of new artificial intelligence that are advancing so rapidly and that are really part of every C-level discussion now, this is something that is really next. So how can we respond to these challenges that are thrown upon us as organization? And what could be one positive way to cope with these? Let me quickly visualize a funnel for you. I've talked about the macro trends, and of course, we all are embedded in wider ecosystems. Might it be vertical ecosystems with our suppliers? Might it be horizontal ecosystems or even data sharing ecosystems? We are impacted by those macro trends, right? So we have seen that within the last 3 years, how quickly the status quo of a company can change. From super productive, hitting by COVID, trying to keep the lights on in the production, up to having geopolitical tensions, wars on the horizon. How can we cope? And I talk a lot about that matter of fact with analyst companies, and it's really expected also by the analysts to deal in the future with continuous multiple disruptions at the very same time. So this poses both chances and risks for a company, right? And in order to cope with these challenges, we need to make our companies more robust, more resilient is the new buzzword. And for sure, data and to become data-driven as an organization can be one answer to that. I've brought you some insights as well from our Voice of the Client program about the data maturity and agility. And these two topics are really key hurdles for the organization. So when we ask the manufacturers, they say that only 1/3 is mature to leverage the data they have inside their organizations for these kind of needed business resiliency. And even more so, only 1/5, so 22%, is highly agile in their business models to address digitizations and new technology integration. And we know manufacturing is has very complex value chains. But no matter, the playing field really remains open, and there are these key topics to address. Some other data about, please have a look on the left-hand side of the slide. How broad is the data strategy of an organization? So data strategies exist also within manufacturing organizations, around 40%. But holistically, So for the entire enterprise, and not only for specific working domains, only 1/3 of the company says, yes, we have a holistic data strategy. And when we ask the manufacturers, what are the prime objectives or what are the most important things when setting this data strategy? Interestingly, the answer is really to manage system-related data across the enterprise. And that means really the span over all the business processes coming from R&D, engineering, moving over to the production supply chain, and up also to the after-sales or maintenance, repair and overhaul process domains. So that means really that data continuity from cradle to grave, so to say, is one of the top topics. Followed by second, managing operational decisions, right? So quite remarkable insights we have received here from our manufacturers. And when we ask them, where are you currently putting your initiatives or your energy on in that data playing field? We got the answer. At the moment, the data governance and the data management are really the most crucial topic for us, followed by the quality of data. We all know that there is an entire zoo of different data formats in organizations. The more legacy technology we have, the bigger the zoo becomes, right? So a lot of efforts are currently also on focusing on the quality of data, on thinking about semantic concepts, how to generate the so-called golden data record that then later on can be really used for decision-making process. You see that on the right-hand side of the slide. So this data, this clean data, is needed for scenario planning. It's needed for insight engineering, and really to guide and to guide the decisions on the shop floor. So some recommendations before I move on how we at CGI see the future of manufacturing. And let me pick the most crucial three for you. So at this very moment, it's really going back to basic. We see that the economic slowdown will last at least this year and 2024. For 2025, it's again foreseen, and hopefully cross fingers this will happen, that we are going back to a more growth mode. But it's going back to basic. It's all about reviewing the IT and shop floor landscape for resilience. Second is really getting the data ready. So the manufacturer of tomorrow will be data-driven. This will include also collaboration with industry platforms, with data sharing ecosystems. So 2 and 4 go hand in hand together. It's about building flexible supply chains, and I'm pretty sure one of my co-speakers today will address that topic as well. How do we cope with the increasing and decreasing production demand? How can we adapt quickly, ramp up, ramp down, be agile, be responsive? These are really the topics to tackle now. And last but not least, with all we do, to have a clear focus on both IT and OT security. So have the security included and integrated and not just bolted on. Some aspects about unified manufacturing and where the industry is moving. You all know, some 10 years ago, we were talking, at least in Europe, about Industry 4.0, right? So that was around 2010 when we started to digitize the processes, when we tried to get out efficiencies by having processes paperless, by putting here and there IoT devices to extract the data and whatnot. So this is an effort that continues as of now, because the manufacturing, discrete and process manufacturers is a very heterogeneous industry, right? So we have more the digital leaders that have started their way on their transformation journey quite early. And we have the digital entrants or the digital builders that are currently in the middle of transforming. So of course, these Industry 4.0 objectives continue to be important. Nonetheless, approximately 1.5 years ago, the European Commission have launched the Industry 5.0 initiative. And that is more so to say the next chapter of digital transformation. And that takes into account aspects like sustainability and also the human awareness in addition to technology and what we already do. And human awareness is an interesting topic, because now with that rise of AI, of course, all discussions are around how to use in a responsible and ethical way AI. How do we ensure that our AI does not have any bias? How do we make sure that a harmonious human and machine relation takes place? So all this is part of the so-called Industry 5.0, or next level, next chapter of digital transformation. And for us at CGI, it's really a smart factory is unifying people, processes, machines, and technologies. And basically, we see the world in these 5 main clusters, to have some semantics here as well. So, of course, at the very early stages, it's about getting connected on the shop floor, retrieving the data, storing the data in some sorts of data lake, and then after cleaning and after preparation, to really apply enhanced analytics on top of that. So becoming data-driven. And again, not specifically in only one use case, but across the entire enterprise. Digital paperless, I talked about it, same for IT and OT security. And last but not least, all sorts of factory clouds. Of course, in manufacturing, there's always the possibility using the cloud where possible, but also having, for security reasons, some on-prem solutions. And all this is enabled by a variety and a broad band of technologies that are, of course, used with partners within ecosystems. When we have a deeper look into what I just showed you here for the data-driven part, it's basically about starting off the journey, addressing it with C-level, of course. What is the business value a company would like to achieve when becoming data-driven? So what are the primary objectives? How can we define that vision? And how can we derive then later on a roadmap on that? And followed by, of course, the data management, clean data initiatives. How and where is the data collected? Who owns and uses the data? And then, of course, the business intelligence tools in place. We started off some years ago with all the business intelligence dashboards and whatnot. But now, especially on the shop floor, we are talking, of course, about predictive quality analytics, predictive maintenance. So what is the maturity level of analytics in a company, and where does it need to be, right? And last but not least, a topic that is very close to my heart, the organizational readiness. It never has been only about technology. So, of course, it's the question about how is the leadership, how is the culture of an organization? Is data-driven behavior encouraged by the organization? Is my workforce, are my people data literate? Do they understand the value that the data can have in a product aspect, for example? So this is a topic that is really crucial and essential to becoming data-driven. And you can see that this is not a one-time effort, of course, but it requires really all hands on deck. So from the strategy setting, when we just regard the C-suite, up to the data management, who's owning the data, how to generate that golden data record, and the constant exchange and harmonization of these different organizational parts. Some words, and conscious of time, about the changing role of AI in manufacturing. Let me show you the slide here, and we can really say that since last year, approximately this time, 12 months ago, something has changed in the market, right? Something has changed, and the same applies more or less like for the industrial revolutions applies with AI. It follows kind of sinus curves, with first golden ages where neural networks were developed, then followed by some silence, some second movements, and was not. And my colleagues from our AI Center of Excellence have depicted a very nice slide here and also shared for the sci-fi lovers amongst you, you can see really that this different sinus curves within the AI evolution were accompanied by some nice sci-fi movies. But what I really wanted to say is that really 12 months ago, there was this AI's iPhone moment with generative AI or with ChatGPT, where all of a sudden this topic around AI has been democratized. Right. And ever since, of course, manufacturing companies are asking themselves, what is our stake in that? And where to use, classical AI, classical machine learning, that like we did in the years before, or where and in which use cases to apply conversational AI, to apply generative AI. And let me quickly guide you through that slide. It's quite a crowded one. Nonetheless, let me quickly pitch that to you. So, of course, at the very top, you have the business objectives, right? Every client value, innovation, growth, efficiency, whatnot. And then in the middle, you have the business value chain from the manufacturers, as I stated at the beginning. So now we have that whole bunch of AI technologies. Might it be text AI, functional AI, or as I said, the latest new kid on the block, generative AI. And the interesting thing right now is to come and move from that hype in which we have just passed, in order not to fall in the curve of disappointment, but rather really concretely discover and detect and discuss with our clients all across the world, what are the value-bringing AI use cases and what kind of AI to use for it. It's a very challenging world. It's a very thrilling world. And I'm curious to see the next month how this whole discussion will evolve. But for sure, I see three main domains. Think about the changing demographics. Generative AI for sure can help to onboard new staff or younger staff quite easily, to get the knowledge into the people, to bring the knowledge to help them doing their daily work. So HR, onboarding, awareness raising about knowledge in the company would be one crucial use case. A second one in design and engineering with generative AI, from automation to creation, completely new designs of products will be possible. That would never have been possible only by sticking the heads together, human to human. So this will be of a tremendous, I would say, value. And third, all things predictive analytics around predictive maintenance, around predictive quality analytics. So this would be the three ones from my experience to start off. And this topic is also so important that our CEO just recently announced and gave out a press release that we as a company are going to invest 1 billion of Canadian dollars within the next 3 years, especially to help the clients design and deliver responsible and return on investment-led strategies. Because we are living in quite an economic slowdown, and every investor company needs to do, while transforming, needs to bring the right value. And with that, I would like to leave you. I hope you got some inspiring insights, and maybe I ask the production team to leave you with a video. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Helena. I'll go to some questions, and we have them coming in immediately on the app. It is from Anonymous. I'm taking that's not your real name. If you do want to get in touch, do say who you are so we can say hello. Saying about how thrilling the future of manufacturing it is, so I take it that your presentation went down well. The question here is more about the value of resilience. How important and how critical is growing resilience in the sector going forward?
I would say it could be life-threatening if you are not working towards resilience, because it's that we are living in a time of very high volatility and very high multiple crises. So continuing as is not an option, as simple as that.
And leading on from that, I did want to go into how crucial sustainability is and how eco-friendly practices to reduce environmental impacts and give manufacturers a competitive edge. How do all of those things mesh together going into the future? Because traditionally people might think eco-friendly practices might not always support the wider business goals. How do you see those things working alongside each other?
I see a strong interconnectedness also between the other industries, because think of all the ESG regulations that are coming now in various parts of the world. And of course, a financial institution, a banking institute, finance institute will not fund a company that is not adhering to these ESG and sustainability goals anymore. So top number one, you need the money, you need the investment of the banks. Top number two, when you think about the demography changes, and especially about the consumers on the one hand side, whom you are selling these products, this is really important, but also for your own workforce. The younger generation will simply not work anymore for a company who is not taking their climate pledge seriously. So I would say these are three good arguments pushing, despite the fact of what's going on in the world, this sustainability focus even more.
Absolutely, three very strong points there. Helena, thank you so much for joining us here at Manufacturing Digital Live. Really enjoyed your company this morning.
Thank you very much. Have a good event. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we move on. Time for a very quick break now. We'll be back for our first fireside of the day, and that's maximising profitable growth with a resilient supply chain. That is with Alan Duncan from Blue Yonder, and we'll be back in just a few moments.